Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of my podcast, Wrestling with the APESTER. I am the APESTER himself, and welcome. So, in this episode, I'm going to be reviewing Money in the Bank. It happened July 1st, 2023, at the O2 Arena in London. And what an incredible pay-per-view, premium live event, whatever you want to call it. What an incredible event this was in London, England, man. I had another recording for this video, and I was in the comfort of my girlfriend's car while doing so. She was at work, and you maybe ask yourself, why are you at your girlfriend's job and in her car? Like, what's going on? So, my girlfriend about a month ago gave me the idea. She goes, hey, you want to come to work with me? I'm only working a 4-hour shift, and, I work in a plaza, so you could probably go to the stores and stuff and, entertain yourself while I'm at work. And I'm like, screw it. You know what? Whatever. I do like to walk around the stores, look around, stuff like that. So, yeah, I went yesterday, and I went today as well. And when I was making the video today, I was in the car, and I kind of ended the podcast very abruptly. Because she was literally walking to the car as I was just finishing talking about the main event, which I will definitely get to that later on in this podcast. But man, yeah. So yesterday she had worked like a 7-hour shift, and I was like, man, how in the world am I gonna entertain myself for the 7 hours? And believe it or not, I ended up doing it. But whatever. Today I think she worked like a 4.5-hour shift, so it was pretty easy for me. But anyway, yeah, so usually I like to walk around the plaza. There's a bunch of stores there, so that's basically what I did, screw it. I'm walking around the stores, stuff like that. So that takes me to Money in the Bank. I was watching it yesterday, and you may be wondering, if you were watching yesterday and you were in the stores, how were you, so I was literally, I had an earbud in and my phone in my hand, and I was walking around the stores, looking around. Excuse me, Jesus. Bear with me, I just finished eating, so I'm kind of, yeah. So I was walking around the store with an earbud in my hand, in my phone in my hand, and I was in and out watching, looking around at the store at the same time. So I didn't fully 100% watch the premium live event until I got back to her house. And the last two matches were pretty much the only two matches I watched pretty thoroughly, especially the main events. And I will get to that later on. So, that brings us to my review for the Money in the Bank. So I'm looking at this through CBSSports.com, and I'm looking this up because I want to make sure I go through all these matches and segments and whatnot in order. I'm not sure if there was any backstage promos. It doesn't specify it on this page, but if I did miss it, I do apologize. So this is round 2 of me making this podcast. Let me just make sure I'm still recording here. 3 minutes and about 30 seconds in here. So here we go. We're talking about Money in the Bank. Let's roll. So the first match was the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. It was for of course, Mr. Money in the Bank, or Senior Money in the Bank, as he would like to be called. It was, and I'll get to that in a second, it was Ricochet versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. LA Knight, yeah, Santos Escobar. Butch, who I thought would come out as Pete Dunne, but hey, it is what it is. He didn't come out as Pete Dunne. Pretty sad, but hey, I'm pretty sure he'll come back to Pete Dunne eventually. Versus Damian Priest, and very unfortunately versus Logan Paul. Boo. We all hate him. Listen, for the record, man, I as much as I didn't want Logan Paul to win, and he didn't. Spoiler alert: he did not win the Money in the Bank, and I know this because, man, he first of all, he grabbed the briefcase. I believe it was on Raw or SmackDown. He grabbed the briefcase, and it was like, yep, he ain't gonna win it. And also, if Michael Cole ever says, oh, can you imagine if so wins the match? If Michael Cole says that, then most likely it ain't gonna happen. But it's most of the time, it's if they touch the briefcase, they're not gonna win it, or the title, depending on the situation. But in this situation, it was the briefcase. Now, Damian Priest won the match, and he would like to be referred to as Senior Money in the Bank. Six other participants immediately stared down and attacked Logan Paul. So basically, the match started. Everybody was just pissed at Logan Paul. Logan Paul came out last in his entrance, but everybody was just pissed at Logan Paul because he basically just got inserted. The match started. Everybody went after Logan. But man, the highlights of this match had to be Logan Paul and Ricochet. For the love of mankind, bro. These two are crazy in the ring together. They were doing flips and dives and all these other moves and stuff and whatnot. And Ricochet, I think, put Logan Paul through the two tables that Logan Paul had set up earlier. And Logan Paul dived onto Damian Priest, who was laying on a ladder at one point, and it was just back and forth, and teasing that like, hey, I'm about to grab the title. Nope, no, you're not. Oh, I'm about to grab the title. Oh, no. And I keep saying title, I mean briefcase. I'm sorry, but man, I'm just looking through this quickly. Paul tried to get Priest to team. So Logan Paul tried to get Damian Priest to team up with him. And it backfired, and Priest quickly turned on him with a right hand. Ricochet hit the first big spot of the match, diving through a ladder to take out several other wrestlers outside of the ring. Shortly after, Paul hit a frog splash onto Priest, as Priest was lying on a ladder suspended between the ring and the ring steps. Of course, there were big spots, as expected, of course, and Butch hitting a moonsault from a tall ladder onto most of the other members of the match. And on occasion, someone would attempt to climb for the briefcase, ambit of the chaos. A scary spot saw Ricochet and Paul go through tables set up at ringside after Ricochet hit a Spanish fly while the two were struggling to find their footing on the middle rope. LA Knight appeared to have the match won, but cleared out the ring, but as he grabbed the briefcase, Priest caught up to him and slammed him from the top of the ladder to the apron with a broken arrow before grabbing the briefcase to secure the victory. Damian Priest apparently was not, nobody wanted Priest to win. And a lot of people hated on Priest winning. Honestly, so there were 3 people I knew for a fact could have won, and 2 of them I wanted to win. So the list of 3 people for me that I knew for a fact were going to win either one of these 3 were Damian Priest, LA Knight, and Logan Paul. And the 2 people I wanted to win would either be LA Knight or Damian Priest. And let me tell you, anybody but Logan Paul. Let me tell you something. First of all, Logan Paul was just inserted in this match. Imagine the heat he would get if he actually successfully grabbed the briefcase. Not only that, I think he would have been the first person to grab the briefcase prior to the pay-per-view and win it. So that's like saying, let's say Finn Balor and Seth Rollins have a match on SmackDown the night before Money in the Bank, and Seth Rollins wins it, right? And then the next night on the pay-per-view, Seth Rollins actually wins it. Like, what are the odds of something like that happening? Typically, if you win, like on a SmackDown or Raw, odds are it's going to be the opposite outcome at the pay-per-view. So point being, I think Damian Priest deserved it, honestly. He's been putting in a lot of work. And a lot of people are furious about LA Knight not winning it. And thing is, the Money in the Bank briefcase is meant to elevate a superstar. And it didn't matter who was going to win that match, but one way or another, somebody in that match was going to get elevated to the top. And thing is, LA Knight was already over with the crowd even before the start of this match. Like weeks ago, he was already over with the crowd, and so he quite frankly doesn't need the briefcase to get over. Granted, Damian Priest doesn't really need it either, but Damian Priest deserved that win. He really did. Like, honestly, and all I can think of was, man, imagine if Finn Balor won his match, which, spoiler alert, he did not win his match with Seth Rollins later on. I'll be talking about that in a little bit, but, man, I'm very happy that Priest won. Listen, it was either Priest or LA Knight, and if it was neither one of them, man, there was even a point where Shinsuke Nakamura, I thought he was going to grab it at one point, but he didn't. But the result of the match, Damian Priest won the Money in the Bank. He is Senior Money in the Bank. So if you call him Mr. Money in the Bank, I'm sure he's going to come after you and kill you. But hey, whatever. Damian Priest wins the match. He comes out later on, and I'll discuss that in a little bit. But we get to our next match, and it is the Women's Tag Team Championship match. And this was insane. Let me get to it. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, who are the at the time, the current champions, facing off against a returning Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And let me tell you straight up, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez became the new women's tag team champions. And the highlight of this match, oh my god, Shayna Baszler turned on Ronda Rousey. I literally will give you $100,000 and a freaking cookie if you can tell me that you expected this to happen, because I don't think anybody expected this to happen. I did not expect this to happen. I thought they were going to retain the titles and move on with their lives. But now, after they lost the match, I'm starting to see articles that Ronda Rousey might be on her way out of WWE. And man, if that's the case, then shit, like, I don't know where is she going to go. Will she go back to UFC? Maybe she wants to spend time with her husband and child. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm happy that this happened, but I'm not. I'm pretty mixed about it. I'm going to tell you why. Because Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez winning it back, I feel like they should have never relinquished it to begin with. And granted, yes, we did expect Liv Morgan to be out for months, maybe even the rest of the year. But obviously that didn't happen. But like, I think if we can remnants back a while back, I think there was a point where Roman Reigns, he didn't appear for like a month or like 3 weeks or whatever it was, and he's still the champion, but yet Liv Morgan gets injured, and like a week later, they have to relinquish the titles. So I found that kind of ridiculous, how they had to relinquish the titles and won it back. Yeah, they won back the titles, they never lost, but I feel like that was kind of pointless. I feel like Raquel should have defended it on her own, and it would have pushed her a little bit more. Like it gives her that push as to like, oh, she can defend it on her own, and and then inserting Shotzi in here was like pointless. Like, I don't know why. So, jeez, man, the least they could have done was have Raquel defend it on her own against Ronda and Shayna, and then Ronda and Shayna could have won it anyway. But still, like, I feel like them relinquishing the titles, that should have never happened. But Ronda and Shayna Baszler being the champions, I feel like they should have held it for a lot longer. But hey, it is what it is. Whatever happened, happened. I didn't watch this match at all. The only matches I watched in full, I watched the last two matches. Now, the last match, I watched it pretty much the whole way. And the second to last match, I believe, was Rollins and Finn Balor. I did watch most of that match. But the one I did watch really thoroughly was the Bloodline stuff, which was the main event, and I'll get to that later on. But just reading through here, Morgan and Rodriguez took over the action early, clearing the ring before Rodriguez powerbombed Morgan from the ring onto Rousey and Baszler on the outside. I'm just going to quickly skim through here. Rousey tagged in after, but Baszler turned on Rousey, striking her from behind before putting her in the clutch and walking off, leaving Rousey to be finished off after Morgan hit her with the Oblivion. The match was fine, but the turn didn't really make sense and ended a title reign that didn't need to exist after WWE jumped the gun and stripped Rodriguez and Morgan after a Morgan injury that did not keep her out of action very long. And that just goes back to what I had said just now, and if you're not keeping up here, I'm reading this on CBSSports.com. It's just what I said just now, like a minute ago. I feel like they should have never relinquished it to begin with. But yeah, I understand Liv Morgan was supposed to be out for a couple months, but man, even though Dakota Kai is actually supposed to be out for the rest of the year, but who knows? She might make a return. Look at John Cena. At one point, he was supposed to be out for like another, 9 months plus, maybe, and he ended up returning at the Royal Rumble. I don't remember what year it was. As number 30, and that shocked everybody, you know? So yeah, like I said, like CBS is saying the same thing here. Like it's like I said, they should have never relinquished it. It was kind of a pointless title reign. Yeah, I feel like Rousey and Shayna should have held it longer, sure, and they should have earned it, but like with Liv part of the story, or at least Raquel defending the titles on her own, at least. But it's like them relinquishing the titles was pointless. Like why was and then Liv returns and it's like, all right, we're just gonna give it back to you guys. Like that was just the most pointless thing ever, you know. But man, just as pointless as that is Raquel finding a tag team partner in that little tournament there, in Shotzi too. That was the most pointless thing I'd ever seen. So yeah, it says right here, the result, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defeat Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler via pinfall to win the titles. Yeah, they give it a B- grade, whatever, you know. I guess it was a decent match, judging by this article, but let's get on to the next match. Let's see, how long am I in this video? 6? Damn, I'm pretty far in this video. The next match was the Intercontinental Championship match. It was between Gunther and Matt Riddle, and oh my god, I can't wait to talk about this one. So basically, Gunther throughout the match was targeting Matt Riddle's ankle, or his foot, who had his foot bandaged. The match basically ended with Gunther powerbombing Matt Riddle. He went for the pin, but then he stopped the pin and basically was like, nope, I'm just going to put you in an ankle lock instead, and Matt Riddle tapped out. Gunther retains the Intercontinental Championship, and man, what happens after this is crazy, because Drew McIntyre makes his return. He stares down Gunther, hits him with a Claymore, and he picks up the Intercontinental Championship, holds it up high, as to say, hey, I want a shot at this damn championship. And man, I cannot wait to see this match. I knew something like this was going to happen. Spoiler alert, by the way, everybody wanted to see Randy Orton return. I think he will return. Maybe Matt Riddle will come out for a promo and Randy Orton will just come out of nowhere, RKO him, which that's what I thought was going to happen here in this match, actually. I thought Randy Orton was going to come out and support him. Maybe I don't know, maybe Imperium comes out and triple teams on Riddle, and then Orton comes out to save him, and then next thing you know, RKO to Matt Riddle. Something like that could have happened too, but I am pretty happy with the whole Drew McIntyre thing, how he came back and he basically wants an Intercontinental Championship match. I mean, it's pretty obvious he held up the title. So let me just read through here real quick. Big strikes from both men to start the match before Gunther took over with his trademark chops. Here we go. Riddle's comeback attempts were cut off by Gunther several times before Gunther began to focus on Riddle's injured ankle, including ripping off some of the tape on the joint before locking in an ankle lock. Riddle was eventually able to hit a ripcord knee and floating bro for a few near falls. Riddle caught Gunther in a triangle choke as Gunther tried to hit a splash, but Gunther hit a powerbomb to escape the hold, then locked in another ankle lock, stopping to slap Riddle's foot several times and then lock in the ankle lock one final time to force the tap. And of course it says here, as Gunther was celebrating, Drew McIntyre came out and he was face to face. He dropped Gunther with a Glasgow kiss after being shoved, then put Gunther down with a Claymore. As for the match itself, it's hard to not think about the better matches Gunther and Riddle have had together in their careers. It's not that this outing was bad by any stretch, just not up to what these two are capable of doing together. So I'm just reading off of this. The result, of course, Gunther defeats Matt Riddle via submission to retain the title. Pretty good match. Cannot wait to see Drew McIntyre versus Gunther. I'm okay with either one of them winning the title, or either Gunther retaining or Drew McIntyre dethroning him, but I feel like Gunther should become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. And I thought Honky Tonk Man was the last guy. Like, I thought like Honky Tonk Man was the longest reigning champion, but then they brought up Randy Savage. And I feel like he should surpass Randy Savage's record as well. I'm not sure what record Randy Savage holds exactly, but he should at least beat that record and become the longest reigning champion and then lose it. But hey, I'll be okay with Drew McIntyre wins the title. It's okay. I feel like Drew McIntyre does need that moment with the audience. And I think SummerSlam winning the Intercontinental Championship would be great. Because I know Drew McIntyre back in, I believe it was 2020, WrestleMania, there was no crowd when he won the WWE Championship, and I feel as though he should have had that moment with the crowd. Unfortunately, COVID did not like it otherwise, so yeah, I feel like, I'm sure a lot of people agree with me when I say that Drew McIntyre should have that, spotlight in front of a large crowd, especially like in maybe Scotland or something. Imagine an event in Scotland or Ireland or, I don't know, even anywhere, honestly, anywhere. But yeah, that match was a pretty good match, I guess. So that brings us to the next match. Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio. Now, man, they said that this match was going to be the main event, and they said something crazy was going to happen for the main event. I'm not sure if they were referring to this match or the Bloodline match, which main event of the night. But everybody thought Brock Lesnar was going to come out and interfere in the match and attack Cody or something. But yeah, you would have to freaking pay like Brock Lesnar $1 jillion for him to show up just to F5 Cody Rhodes. Come on. So I feel like Brock Lesnar will eventually come out, maybe in the upcoming weeks to confront Cody. Hell, he might not even at all, and screw it. Maybe we're done with Cody and Brock Lesnar, but I highly doubt that. But as far as the match is concerned, let me see. I'm just reading through here. Mysterio took an early hit-and-run approach, trying to land punches while avoiding any other contact with Rhodes. Rhodes got frustrated and ripped off his cast before chasing Mysterio down the entrance ramp to bring him back into the ring. After narrowly escaping a crossroads, Mysterio tried to leave through the crowd, only to be chased down again. Rhea Ripley was able to help provide enough distraction that Mysterio was able to send Rhodes into the ring steps and take over the action. After Mysterio's run, Rhodes was able to counter the Three Amigos to score a near fall with a disaster kick. And a Cody Cutter and Crossroads brought an end to the action. The match was about what you'd expect. I'm still reading the article. The match was about what you'd expect, with Mysterio trying to take shortcuts until Rhodes caught up to him and put things to an end, effective in doing the obvious. And obviously, the result here, Cody Rhodes defeats Dominic Mysterio via pinfall. Nothing much to it. That's literally it. It was just a regular singles match. Like, nothing happened, honestly. It was just you literally could have done this on Monday Night Raw. I mean, seriously. But sure, maybe it was a cool match, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I was in and out watching this match and browsing the store at the same time, so I kind of was in and out with it. I had an earbud in, like I said, and if I didn't mention that already, but just listening on as I was shopping, and yeah, so I guess Cody Rhodes with the win. Cool, thank God, actually. If I can't imagine if Dominic won that. Yeah, I mean, so then we go on to our next match. Well, it's actually a segment, and if you can believe it, John Cena makes a surprise return here, and he basically came out and he said, "Surprise, I'm here," and he's like, man, it's great to be here, and you may be wondering, why am I here? Like, well, I'm here because I feel like you people, nice people in London, deserve a WrestleMania, in general, like just like a WrestleMania. I was gonna say WrestleMania moment, but I would say this is a WrestleMania moment at Money in the Bank. So he said, hey, how great would it be if we had a WrestleMania in London? In the crowd, which, by the way, throughout the whole night, this crowd was electric. This crowd went bananas the whole night. Like, this has to be the greatest London event I think that's ever been held, ever. the highest grossing event ever, and that was said in the press conference after the event, which I ended up watching. And I will point out some stuff in the press conference. But first, man, the John Cena appearance. John Cena came out. This was basically a WrestleMania moment, except at Money in the Bank in front of the London crowd. Now, Grayson Waller interrupted eventually, and he basically said let me see. Grayson Waller interrupted. Waller ran down Cena in the London crowd while making his own pitch for WrestleMania in Australia. So basically, like I just said, he came out and he's like, "Hey, what about a WrestleMania in Australia? I think we'd rather see that than the one in London." Well, everybody booed this. They booed him out of the building, man. Am I the only one that actually wants to see that? A WrestleMania in Australia? Thing is, like, this is a global company, and just like Triple H pointed out in the press conference, if you didn't watch it, but it's a global company. They go all over the globe to hold these events for everybody to see. And can you imagine a WrestleMania in Australia? And for the record, the last time they were in Australia, I think it was Super Showdown. And the main event, I believe, was the Brothers of Destruction and DX, who had never faced one another as teams before, which is bonkers. But man, the one thing I didn't like about it is I had to wake up at like 5 in the morning to watch this event, and I was exhausted, man. I was like, oh, it was like a Sunday morning or whatever, and I was just so tired, like, oh my god. But I don't know, I'd rather watch it live than watch it afterward, which a lot of people ended up doing, was just recording it or just watched it after they woke up or something. But thing is, it's like once you wake up, you go on social media, it's all spoiled. Like, I feel like, I just have to watch it live, like right in the moment, So I had to wake up at like 5 in the morning for this, just so I wouldn't miss it. Was it worth it? It wasn't. But anyway, imagine a WrestleMania in Australia. But dude, WrestleMania in London would be crazy. So this means a couple things. One, maybe wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They were poking at AEW for having an event in Wembley Stadium very recently. I believe it was All In. And this also could mean that in the next like 5 years or so, we could have WrestleMania in London. Oh my god, how massive this would be if WrestleMania could be in England. You know how crazy this event would be. Insane. So anyway, going back to the segment, Cena, let me see. So Grayson Waller interrupted. Waller ran down Cena in the London crowd while making his own pitch for WrestleMania in Australia. Waller then offered to host Cena on the Grayson Waller effect in Australia. Cena said no and turned his back, allowing Waller to jump him. Waller quickly turned around into an attitude adjustment, and Cena left the ring. And that's basically the end of that segment. The crowd went nuts for this. It was absolutely incredible segment, man. I'd say it's a WrestleMania moment, honestly, except I guess you can call it a Money in the Bank moment. Sure, whatever. It was cool. It is what it is. Maybe we'll see Grayson Waller versus John Cena at SummerSlam. I heard it was supposed to be John Cena versus Logan Paul, but hey, who knows? We might even get a triple threat from the three. Who knows? I don't know. Especially considering Logan Paul was on the Grayson Waller effect on Friday night on SmackDown. So that ends that segment, and that takes us to our next match. We have, 3 more matches left to cover. So that takes us to our next match, which was the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. See how far are we on the podcast here. We're about 29 minutes in. Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, showcasing Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Bayley, Io Sky, and Trish Stratus. Now, it says right here, Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark jumped Lynch as she was making her entrance. Bayley and Sky worked together, with Sky trying to hold off Vega to allow Bayley to set up a ladder. Stratus and Stark continued to target Lynch before Stratus went on a short run of big moves to nearly win the match. A pair of ladders were eventually set up in the center of the ring, allowing for a few threats of big spots, the first of which came when Sky hit a moonsault from the top of the ladder onto everyone but Stratus. For the record, man, I recommend you guys go and watch this whole Premium Live event in general, this event was just on fire. The crowd went ballistic. And Michael Cole and Wade Barrett freaking creamed in their pants. And dare I use that kind of language, but man, they freaking went crazy on commentary. They almost lost their voices after last night, man. And jeez. The dives that these guys took and these women took, and it was an incredible match, you know. Again, I was watching the highlights of it, and it was just a crazy, just a bunch of chaos in the ring, you know. So Stratus tried to take advantage of everyone else, but being down by climbing the ladder, but she was shoved to the canvas by Lynch. Stark grabbed a set of handcuffs. But Lynch was able to fight her off after just one wrist was cuffed. It nearly led to a brawl and a manhandle slam on Stratus onto a ladder, and the action spilled back into the ring. Stark tried to cut Vega off on the way up the ladder, leading to a massive spot in which Vega hit a code red from the top of a ladder onto another ladder suspended on the ropes. That is crazy. Sky tried to take advantage of the chaos, but as she was about to grab the briefcase, Bayley knocked the ladder over, costing her own teammate the win. Yeah, Bayley literally pushed the ladder down as Io Sky was climbing it. And I guess you could say it's every woman for herself, but at the same time, it's teasing a breakup for the Damage Control. But I feel like Damage Control shouldn't break up until Dakota Kai comes back. Because mind you, Dakota Kai is part of this team. So what's going to happen if Dakota Kai comes back and says, hey, I'm back, you know, hey, like, where happened to where is everyone? Like, hey, like, why, you know, like, what's going to happen, you know? I feel like it's just, I don't know, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but Sky tried to take advantage of the chaos, but as she was about to grab the briefcase, Bayley, okay, so I already read that, sorry, costing her own teammate the win. Bayley and Lynch were battling along the ladder when, here's the cool part. Sky ran back into the ring and used the other half of the handcuff to lock Bayley and Lynch together through the ladder. Sky then climbed the ladder, going over Bayley's back to win the match. A very creative finish that was set up early in the match just to be paid off in the final moments. The result, of course, Io Sky wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. Thank God. I can't imagine anybody else winning it. Trish Stratus, believe it or not, I believe this is her first ladder match in her career. And man, that's pretty crazy to think, especially considering she has a long career behind her, you know? And so I think this eventually will set up to Stratus versus Becky Lynch at SummerSlam or even WrestleMania, and then Trish Stratus could retire, officially retire and probably never come back. But man, this run with Trish Stratus is very good, man. It's almost like we forgot, like, she was a legend. She's a Hall of Famer, you know? Like, it's pretty crazy to think that she's on the roster on a daily now. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Io Sky winning the Money in the Bank, oh my God, is pretty cool. And I need to take you to the press conference after, where they came out and Io Sky pointed out that it's not just her briefcase, it's our briefcase, referring to herself and Bayley. And at the end of the press conference between the two, Bayley held up the Money in the Bank. So I feel like that's going to tie into a story where Bayley will be like, hey, I'm the Money in the Bank winner. And then Io Sky is like, wait a minute, like, we are the Money in the Bank winners, but mind you, I'm the one that grabbed the briefcase, not you. So technically, I'm Miss Money in the Bank. And I feel like that will just lead to a breakup with the Damage Control. Or at least with Bayley and Io Sky. And then when Dakota Kai comes back, maybe Dakota and Bayley will be the only ones together, and Io Sky will go out and do her own thing. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, so it was a pretty crazy freaking match from beginning to end, man. Again, Io Sky winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. Super happy about that. Thank God. And I heard that somebody, I think Zelina Vega was supposed to be replaced by Charlotte, and thank God that didn't happen. Oh God, man. I freaking get everything I want. And let me talk to you about Charlotte for a second. Jesus, how in the world is she already, a 14-time women's champion? Think about it. Like, she easily is going to beat her dad's record, 16-time world champion. Easily. Especially considering, Sorry, no, sorry about that. I just saw a notification. A payment went through for my Peacock or for YouTube TV. Sorry about that. No. Anyway, back to Charlotte Flair. So Charlotte Flair, I feel like, is easily going to reach the 16-time world champion mark. Definitely 100%. I feel like WWE did this on purpose, man, because her dad is Ric Flair and they want her to surpass the record or at least tie it. And I know that this is going to happen because I feel like Charlotte Flair has so much left in her career. She has many years left in her career, I'm sure. So it's so easy to do this. Like, this is easily gonna be... Honestly, this is so easy to pull off. Honestly, I can't even speak because it's literally that stupid. But anyway, this has nothing to do with Charlotte Flair. So yeah, Io Sky winning the Money in the Bank, freaking awesome. Okay, so let's go talk about the next match. And I'm just realizing this podcast is longer than the last recording that I had done. That was not uploaded. Again, I had made a recording, but decided to delete it and redo it and make this one. So I'm glad I decided to redo it because I'm going a little bit more in depth here. So the World Heavyweight Championship match was next, with Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. Now, I'm not sure, I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but Damian Priest in the middle of the match came out, teasing like, hey, like, I'm gonna cash in, here I am, I have the briefcase. And he distracted Rollins at one point, and Finn Balor got the near fall. Seth Rollins kicked out, and eventually, so Damian Priest ended up sitting down at ringside watching the match, and eventually at one point, Priest stood up, stared down Finn Balor. Finn Balor got distracted, which led to Seth Rollins giving him the stomp. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins is still the world champion. Seth Rollins goes up the ramp and he's celebrating his victory. And ringside, you see Finn Balor yelling and arguing at Damian Priest, saying, hey, this was 7 years in the making. What are you doing? Why are you out here? Look, all this stuff, just getting all mad at him. So we could be teasing a Judgment Day breakup or Finn Balor leaving the Judgment Day. Man, I even heard JD McDonough might be taking his place. Hopefully that's the case too, And Finn Balor can go do his own thing or maybe have a rivalry. But just like what I said earlier, imagine if Finn Balor won this match and Damian Priest decides to cash in on Finn Balor, man. Oh, I can't imagine. Man. And apparently in the press conference, Damian was like, listen, I wasn't out there to cost Finn Balor the match. I was just out there to kind of like distract Seth and have Finn Balor win the match. Help Finn Balor win the match. But like, think about this for a minute. Let's think about this for a minute. If you're helping Finn Balor to win the match, and if he were to actually be successful, and you're Mr. Money in the Bank, then think about this. Like, you could cash in on Finn Balor, making it an easier cash in. Because think about it, cashing in on Seth Rollins is going to be harder than you would think is going to be harder than cashing in on Finn Balor. And Damian Priest would easily win that match. Like, I feel like that's a story they could have told. But it is what it is. I'm just going to read through here real quick. Back between the ropes, Balor hit a double stomp on Rollins, injured ribs, and then kept the focus on the attack on Rollins. Torso with kicks, knees, and punches. Rollins stole back momentum with a discuss clothesline. I hope I pronounced that right. Though he was slowed by the damage to the ribs. So I guess Balor was focusing on Seth Rollins' ribs. I'm assuming he got injured during the match here. Balor stayed single-minded, quickly turning things around with more attacks to the body, though Rollins was able to avoid a coup de grace and hit a pedigree for a near fall, at which Damian Priest ran out to ringside with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And with Rollins distracted by Priest's presence, Balor was able to attack, landing a few coup de grace off the ring steps after throwing Rollins back in the ring. Balor went to the top rope but found himself distracted as Priest took a few steps toward the ring as though he was going to cash in his contract. And imagine if he had done that, because that literally would have been the second heist of the century. If we can go back to Seth Rollins, who had cashed in at WrestleMania and turned the match into a triple threat match, which is probably tied between my first and second favorite cash-in, and that is tied between my Dolph Ziggler cash-in, believe it or not. You guys might be wondering, how is Dolph Ziggler one of your favorite cash-ins? Dude, that crowd went ballistic for that. Need I say anymore? Anyway, Balor went to the top rope but found himself distracted by Priest, who took a few steps forward toward the ring as though he was going to cash in his contract. This allowed Rollins to move in and hit a stomp to score the pin as Priest stared at the ring, not following through on the cash-in threat. So, for the record, Priest did not end up cashing in the Money in the Bank. Spoiler alert. Balor, so basically, just like I said, Seth Rollins, he went up the ramp, celebrating his victory. Yay, I won, yeah, whatever. And Balor and Priest argued at ringside as Rollins walked off triumphant. Simple psychology in the match, with Rollins' injury being the focal point and providing easy drama. Of course, the result, Seth Rollins defeats Finn Balor via pinfall to retain the title. That was a really cool match. I watched most of the match. I did witness Damian Priest coming out, and I honestly thought he was going to cash in the briefcase, especially considering the past couple of years they've been kind of, doing these kind of things where they spoil the main event or they spoil the cash in, or they make it the same night, which I freaking hate that. I wish they can go back to those times. Hopefully this year they'll do it where it'll be like an out of nowhere thing, like that. Like they come out like out of nowhere, just like Dolph Ziggler was just an out of nowhere thing, and that's why I loved Dolph Ziggler's cash in, and even Seth Rollins. Nobody ever expected that. Man, what a coincidence it would have been though, him cashing in on Seth Rollins when Seth Rollins cashed in on Roman and Brock Lesnar. And speaking of Heist of the Century, I also was watching, I believe, a video WWE uploaded with Austin Theory's failed cash-in and almost turning that into a Heist of the Century too, ironically with Roman and Brock Lesnar. Man, those two can't catch a break. That takes us to our last match, the main event, and oh my god, what a main event this was. 10 out of 10 match, 100%. I for sure loved this damn match. So, it was Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos. The Bloodline Civil War. Here we go. It starts. Let's do it. So, Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa started off the match. And Jesus, oh man, I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin with this match. It was so freaking fire. Let me discuss the last 5 minutes of the match. So basically, Solo was planning on putting, I don't know if it was Jimmy or Jay, through the announce table. Solo jumped off, I believe it was the apron, and Jimmy or Jay countered it. Solo went through the announce table. The Usos went in the ring, super kicked the crap out of Roman a million times. Then Solo tried getting him back in the ring. He got super kicked again. Then they super kicked Roman a couple more times. Jimmy tagged in Jay with the with the splash off the top rope. And if you can believe it, man, Jay goes for the pinfall. 1, 2, and if you can believe the words that are coming out of my mouth, the referee hit 3. Jey Uso pins Roman Reigns clean pin for the first time in 3.5 years since 2019 with Baron Corbin on a December edition of, I believe it was Raw. That was the last time Roman Reigns got pinned, 3.5 years ago, and Jey Uso pins Roman Reigns, and the reaction in the crowd. Oh my god, everybody jumped out of their seats for that. Every single human being on the face of the earth, I think, jumped on their feet for that. I was laying down, I think, in my girlfriend's bed. I was with her. She was watching TV. I was watching the Premium Live event on my phone. And oh my god. I don't know if you heard that. That was my friend that texted me. My bad. Oh my god, I went nuts for this. My heart dropped immediately. I was like, Roman, he's going to kick out. He's going to kick out. Something's going to happen. Like, Solo's going to turn on Roman or at some point. But nope. 1, 2, 3. Clean win. Sorry if that was very loud. Clean win. Clean. 100%. I couldn't believe it. And it's very ironic because I think it was back in, 2013-ish or something like that, where Jey Uso pinned Roman Reigns. And here we are again. Man, do things come full circle? Jey Uso again pinning Roman Reigns. The Usos with the victory. And Roman Reigns was in disbelief. Jimmy Uso was crying. They couldn't, Jimmy and Jey, they were just celebrating. Paul Heyman was just shocked, just as Solo Sikoa was. Oh my God, this story is just, it's phenomenal. It's perfect. This is the greatest storyline since the Brothers of Destruction. Like, this is crazy. 10 out of 10 match, 100% for sure. I don't care what these guys get. They give it a grade A. I give it an A+. A+++. This match was freaking perfect. Oh my God, it was crazy. So let me just read through this real quick. Jimmy in the first few collar and elbow ties. Sikoa got the best of some strike exchange before Jimmy distracted the referee, allowing Jey to get a cheap shot in and help turn the tide. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I'm sure it's mentioned in here somewhere, that at one point Jey Uso kicked out of I think Roman Reigns had speared Jey. Jey hit the ropes and hit him with a super kick. And then I think Roman Reigns hit another spear, and then Roman goes for the pin, and Jey kicked out at 2. However, when Jey kicked out, his arm went up through Roman Reigns' legs, and he basically hit him with a low blow. This was so perfect. Like, I'm speechless. I don't even know how to put it. When he kicked out, he gave him a low blow at the same time. And that was the turning point for the match. Especially, I would say when Solo Sikoa was put through the table, but especially when Jey Uso kicked out and gave him the low blow at the same time. And the referee didn't see this. So this was brilliant by Jey Uso. I don't think this is something like this has ever been done. So at that point, that was the turning point of this match. And that's when we're like, man, we're really going to see the end of this match. And yeah, so that's something I forgot to mention. So Jey, let me see. So basically Jey was in the ring, and or Jimmy was in the ring. He was trying to tag in Jey. Jey finally took a hot tag and blitzed Sikoa with the offense. Reigns was eventually able to cut Jey off with a pair of Superman punches before the Usos hit him with a double spear that forced Sikoa to make a desperate breakup of the pin. I forgot about that. The Usos double spear on Roman, and I thought that was going to be it, man, but it wasn't. At one point, the referee got taken out as well, obviously, and that's where I thought, well, like, yep, this match is done. The referee's gonna get up, Roman's gonna pin the Usos, match over, or at least the Usos was gonna pin Solo, as always. And I feel like that would have led up to Roman yelling at Solo and saying, "Hey, you're always taking the pin," and that would have led to Solo versus Roman, and I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, things broke down into a brawl featuring all 4 men until Reigns nearly won with a Superman punch to Jimmy. Jimmy came right back with a super kick counter to a Reigns spear, but a splash attempt after was countered by Reigns into a guillotine choke. That was a crazy moment too. Freaking who did it say? Jimmy came right back. So Jimmy was on the top rope. He goes to splash Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns caught him while he was laying on the ground, and Jimmy in midair caught him immediately in the guillotine choke. And I thought that was going to be it. I thought Jimmy was going to pass out or tap or something, whatever. But in ensuing the chaos, the referee was knocked out. And by the way, Jimmy ended up escaping. He basically rammed Roman Reigns into the turnbuckle. But the referee was knocked out of the ring, leaving him down and out as Jey pinned Reigns. Jey went to go for the pin for Reigns after a 1D. Sikoa got back into the match after the referee was down. Reigns and Sikoa hit stereo rock bottoms, followed by Samoan spikes and spears. So basically, the referee, after he was taken out, they gave the 1D to Roman. The crowd started counting 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10 at that point. Obviously, the referee was down. There was no referee in the match, So, crowd was counting down to 10. No referee. Solo got back to the match. The referee's down. Reigns and Sikoa hit a stereo rock bottoms. Sikoa attacked the Usos on top of each other. Solo Sikoa stacked the Usos on top of each other, and Reigns laid on top for the pin. So this is the same thing that happened with Edge and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, and Roman Reigns went to pin them and actually got the victory. This time, when Roman Reigns went to pin both Usos at the same time, both Usos kicked out. And that was just absolutely mind-boggling. So Sikoa tried to put Jimmy through the announce table, but Jimmy moved out. It was Jimmy that I thought it was Jay, but Jimmy moved out of the way. In the ring, Jay and Reigns traded big moves until a Reigns spear for a 2 count, which Jay kicked out of while also delivering a low blow. And that's what I mentioned before. That Jay kicked out and delivered a low blow at the same time. So, yeah. The Usos then delivered super kicks to Reigns before Jay hit a splash on the top rope to score the pin. That pinfall marked the first time Reigns has been pinned since December of 2019. Bloodline matches are what they are, with a lot of over-the-top dramatics and an in-ring chatter, but they also they'll always deliver the goods when it comes to the actual wrestling. This was another case of exactly that, and Red Hot London crowd certainly helped elevate the match and build to a huge moment. Obviously, the result, the Usos defeat Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa via a pinfall, and they gave it an A. Oh my God, this was absolutely incredible. And that was the end of the pay-per-view. Usos stand tall. Roman Reigns is sitting out at the ringside. He was throwing a fit. Solo Sikoa was just in disbelief. Everyone was on their feet. Oh my God. Overall, the pay-per-view, man, I give it like a 9 or a 10 out of 10, man. I'm not good with giving ratings like this, but hey, screw it. It's like a 10 out of 10, man. Man, this event was just bonkers from beginning to end. This crowd went crazy. I really do hope we get to see another event in London, like a WrestleMania in London. That would be absolutely incredible. Who knows, maybe WrestleMania 41, 42, 43 might even be in London. We never know. It's always the same stadiums, I feel like. AT&T Stadium, SoFi Stadium. It's always like in New York and LA and places like that. I feel like it should be in international, like London. But oh my God, this event was absolutely incredible. I hope you enjoyed this this podcast. This is my first official episode, but it technically is episode 2. Sure, yeah, I guess. Again, probably the first episode officially. I do recommend you watch the first episode ever that I uploaded, which was my last podcast. It basically goes over who I am and things like that. Basically, basic information, like why I decided to podcast, things like that. But I think for now, I'm just going to stick with pay-per-view reviews. And then as I build an audience, like if I start to build a big audience, or at least a big enough audience where I see I think I should do a review for Raw and SmackDown every week, I'll do that. For now, I'm just going to do pay-per-view reviews. I decided I needed to review this pay-per-view because it was just absolutely incredible from start to finish. I know I was going to talk about the Owen Hart, or the life and death of Owen Hart and stuff like that, and I will eventually, maybe even be the next episode, who knows. I'm not sure when that'll go out. I know it's pretty late. It's 7:09 p.m. on a Sunday, July 2nd, right now. I really hope you enjoy this podcast. I'm going to be ending it right here now. 53 minutes. This is very long. Oh, man. Again, be sure to, I was going to say leave a like below, but man, coming from the YouTube world, I'm not used to podcasting at all. But this will go up in the description. Of course, I will be putting the link to my YouTube, which I don't upload much, but if you listen to the last episode, I talk about that, how I don't upload much on YouTube, but I'll put it in anyway. And also my Facebook page, the Ape Squad, and if you're wondering why it's called Wrestling with the Apester, I recommend you watch the last podcast because I go over where that came from, why I'm considered the Apester himself. all that stuff. So I highly recommend you go listen to that podcast. It'll be up on Spotify only, unfortunately. For those of you who don't have Spotify, well, if you're listening to this and you don't have Spotify, I don't know how you're listening to this, man. If you have friends of yours that don't have Spotify, just tell them, hey, it's free. You just got to download it, and then you look up Wrestling with the Apester, and it'll come up. But yeah, allow Spotify podcasters to send you notifications. Sure, okay. Heads up, the maximum recording time for segments is 60 minutes. All right, great. Well, apparently I can't upload any longer than this, so I got to end this off now. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Again, I'll be leaving the link below to the Facebook page to my Ape Squad for Life. That's where I will be, or Ape Squad rather. That's where I will be posting latest episodes, stuff like that. My YouTube, I know I don't upload on it, but I'll be putting that down anyway. And again, I thank you for joining me here on this podcast, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.